Let's start with the Philly-Boston series. Sixers tied things up 2-2. Razor-thin margin of going down 3-1. I don't know why, but Marcus Smart is now in charge of hitting or just missing or just taking game winners. That's just what his role is now on this Boston Celtics team. Never mind that there's Jason Tatum there. Never mind that there's Jaylen Brown there. Never mind that he's just one of the all-time greatest chucker, inconsistent shooters in the league. One missed three that could have won the Boston Celtics the game, and another made three of Marcus Smart's in overtime that he actually got off after the buzzer. So it went in. It was very close, and it was not good. That was very, very razor thin. But the biggest story, I think, to me feels like James Harden. James Harden as a roller coaster is in full effect this playoffs. Usually, we can somewhat expect a level of consistency for him in the playoffs, and it's usually not great. But he has made headlines all series long. His fashion, whatever the kind of electric factory type fashion that he has, going to Vegas during an off day for a little baby party. James Harden and Lil Baby are like the best of friends. Like, they're a little too close. If you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but they are like white on rice. They are peas and carrots, James Harden and Lil Baby. And then to putting up the best and worst games of his playoff career in the same series, back to back to back to back. Yes. 45 points, game one, without Embiid. At that point was probably his single best performance of his playoff career, which he then followed up with the two worst shooting performances of his entire career, playoffs and regular season combined. That's true as well. And then, how did he follow that up? 42 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 4 steals, 1 block. And a corner 3 to win the game. Catch and shoot, James Harden. Who are you, James Harden? He had a game-tying 3 in regulation and a game-winning 3 in overtime. So 2 best games of his career, bookending the 2 worst shooting performances of his career. That is the James Harden experience, folks. Another fun fact about James Harden, he has now hit 2 game winners in the same series, which is absurdly rare, and the only other player to do that, the last player to do that, was his teammate, former teammate, Kevin Durant, back in 2012 against the LA Lakers. Been that kind of playoffs for James Harden. And the funniest part to me was that James Harden got the strangest inspiration for that performance from none other than Doc Rivers in the form of an inspirational song sent to him via text message before he got to the arena. An 8-minute gospel song sent to James Harden. I didn't think James Harden was into that kind of thing, but I guess whatever works, right? Harden said he was in the car with his friends, probably a little baby, and got the text message from Doc Rivers and then asked his friends to put the song on. Hey, let's just put the song on. Let's listen to the whole thing through. Was Lil Baby driving? It's unclear. Does he have a chauffeur? Because nobody who's driving asks their friends, hey, let's just put this on. They just put it on, right? That's just what you do when you're driving. Anyway, all these things run through my head. So he listens to it all the way through. And he thought at that point, and he said this in his post-game presser, that he thought that the song had to have some good juju. Then, as we know, he went on, put on a show, game-tying 3, game-winning 3. And P.J. Tucker said it perfectly in the post-game presser with James Harden. You better play that fucking song again before Game 5, because whatever that song did, it got it. Which brings us to P.J. Tucker, one of the more fascinating glue guys, I think, in the league. Big-time dog. I would say one of the biggest dogs in terms of the role player position. Like, if you have the he's got that dog in him meme, that's P.J. Tucker. And a guy that the Sixers have desperately needed in the post-Jimmy Butler era because, as we know, Jimmy was that guy that instilled confidence and grit. And once he left, the team got soft as baby shit, right? So it is time that we do break down a little bit of P.J. Tucker. I asked Philadelphia podcaster Ryan Rothstein, I was asking him, hey, tell me about P.J. Tucker and how impactful he is on this team. His response, in my opinion, was fascinating.
Everything but points. It's, you know, it was frustrating in the regular season because he did that often. And the value couldn't be seen in the regular season because, you know, those games don't matter and the style is significantly different. But he brings everything to this team. He brings toughness, he brings leadership. I look at PJ Tucker as the leader. I talked about it for years about how this Sixers team lacked leadership. Embiid's not a leader. Embiid's not a grab your shirt, what are you doing? Let's go, guy. Like, he's not rah rah. He's not going to say anything or lead. Neither really is Tobias or Harden. So Tucker's providing leadership and toughness that this Sixers team has been lacking for a long time.
Facts. Has been lacking for a long time. And of course, PJ Tucker went out and did what PJ Tucker does: 6 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 fouls. Impactful, probably hard fouls. Still managed to be a +1 in 31 minutes in a game they won by, checks notes, 1. That seems absurd, but no one has crazy stat lines like PJ Tucker. You look at game 1 when there was no Embiid, when the Sixers stole game 1 in TD Garden. Tucker in that game, 37 points without attempting a single field goal. Absurd. 0-5-1, 2 steals, and in a 4-point win, PJ Tucker was a +6. Exactly the amount that they're winning by, PJ Tucker is a plus of that same amount. That's how impactful and important PJ Tucker is. I think what we call PJ Tucker is Jimmy Butler if Jimmy Butler couldn't score. That's what he is. He does all the same things that Jimmy Butler does, except for put the basketball in the hoop. 1 minute he's deflecting a pass, the next he's in B-ball Paul's face, imploring him, just furiously telling him, yo, play defense, get some rebounds. One of the best moments, I think, that highlights PJ Tucker in this particular instance is, so Joel Embiid has been known to be a little lazy in all moments, not just regular season moments. Joel Embiid sometimes doesn't have the most consistent motor. In the fourth quarter, when they are razor thin in the fight, in the thick of the battle with the Boston Celtics, he watches Joel Embiid take multiple plays off. So what does he do? He gets inside of Joel Embiid's asshole, just reaming him, just yelling at him, grabbing onto his jersey. Like that's not the MVP. And they asked him about it after the game, and this is what he had to say.
Nobody can guard Joe one-on-one. There's no way. I'm sorry. It's not disrespect to Al or anybody else, but I guarded him for a lot of years, and when he's aggressive and assertive, it's impossible. And I've seen him 2 or 3 plays in a row not do that. Mm-hmm. And we can't have that. We can't have that. Not with a season on the line. We can't have it.
Can't have that. He's taking plays off. Can't have that. No, sir. Joel Embiid, one of the most dominant scorers, physically imposing, has some of the best footwork you'll ever see, like very light touch around the rim, hits his free throws, can shoot threes. You're not stopping that man. The only thing stopping Joel Embiid is Joel Embiid's motor. So if the motor is going at full blast, Sixers could win a title. And that is what PJ Tucker is there, to wind a little Joel Embiid up and to get the motor to restart in critical moments when he is taking time off. Also, listen, like if he didn't do that, Sixers are probably down 3-1. That's just the fact. One final point, though, about the Sixers. Doc Rivers. I never thought I'd say it, folks. But Doc Rivers has been really good. His coaching has been on tippy-top shape. The type of Doc Rivers coaching that we thought he was when he was in Boston, right? Handling things perfectly, adjusting the lineup to make up for no Embiid in game 1, keeping some of the players out from the lineup that we thought might get significant minutes, using Harden in a catch-and-shoot situation. When has James Harden ever done that? Looking at the film to get this team to have better spacing, better ability in the pick and roll. Game 4, you see this changing. He is having some of the best coaching playoffs I've ever seen. Obviously, sending Harden the 8-minute-long gospel song. Something has gotten into Doc Rivers. I don't know if it's just because of how bad Joe Mazzula is, but Doc Rivers is coaching circles around Joe Mazzula. Another thing that's impressive in terms of Doc's coaching, he is doing something very underrated. Kerr does this. Spo does this. Even after a win, he's just moving the chess pieces, calling out the refs, getting very mad because Jason Tatum pushed off on a three-point that he made that could have lost the Sixers the game to set up more favorable calls in Game 5. Doc went off for a solid minute. What did it sound like? Well, here it is.
Jason Tatum's three was awful that wasn't called. Awful.
You thought it was a push-off?
Did you? Did you think it was a push-off? I'm asking you.
It looked like a push-off.
No, be committed. Did you think it was a push-off? It was a push-off. You can't, and the reason it bugged me because at the end of the game, there were the touch fouls. You know, Jason Tatum has a 360 foul. Marcus Smart and Tuck gets tangled up, touch foul. So if we're going to call it that way, then you have to call that. To me, that you got to call that play. I know it's a big play, and I'm a big fan of refs not deciding, but that could have decided the game.
That could have decided the game. Good job, Doc. Is he wrong? No, that was an absolute push-off. And I love the fact that Doc Rivers forced the reporter to also admit, do not be going both sides of the line with me, reporter. Did you think it was a push-off or was it not? Okay. Doc is on one in this series. Is that enough to put him over the top? I don't know. Probably. Maybe. Joe Mazzula continues to be ass at the end of games and came out and admitted that, yeah, I fucked up at the end of Game 4. He had this to say after the game. Hindsight is 20/20. I should have called a timeout at the end of OT to help us go for a 2-for-1 situation for a couple more possessions. Obviously, 14 seconds left, down one. You want as many chances as you can. So definitely learn from that. Ooh, Joe Mazzula, how Mike Budenholzer of you. That is something else, especially considering that Joe Mazzula literally just after Game 3 came out and was like, what about those adjustments? What about those adjustments I had? While walking out the door. Not just the end of the game management. It's what Marcus said also last week. Speaking of Budenholzer, it sounds exactly like Budenholzer here too. Yeah, most of our offense is just random. We're just getting random out here. That's why Jaylen Brown's post-game comments were so telling.
I guess I got to demand the ball a little bit more. I thought good things happened when I had it in my hands, but I thought our offense was okay. I thought we chipped away. We made big time shots. We got great looks all game long, and we just came up short in the end.
Give me the fucking ball. Jaylen Brown should not be only shooting the ball three times in 17 minutes of any game. Very, very clearly, let alone in a winnable game to go up 3-1 and take the Sixers and put them to sleep. That is on the offense, and that offense is directed by who? Joe Mazzula. If this series comes down to who's coaching better, Doc or Joe, I hate to say it because it is a wild thing for Doc Rivers to have a coaching edge in any series, in any playoff series at all. But listen, I think Doc is head and shoulders a better coach right now than Joe Mazzula. So that means Boston may be out, and that is saying a lot about the Eastern Conference.